and thank you for taking some time to speak with us. And I will just get right into it.
Okay.
You're promoting a film entitled Prisoners of the Ghostland.
Yeah.
Yeah, so tell us about that.
Well, let's see. It all started last year when I was offered a part in a movie. It was shooting in Japan, which was very cool. I've only been there once before.
Okay.
And the star of the movie is Nicolas Cage.
Yowza.
And so I was very excited about that, especially because I had only met him once. Well, I'd met him twice before. I met him at Rob Zombie and Cherry Moon Zombie's wedding party. They had a party after they had gotten hitched. They had a party at their house in Los Angeles.
Yeah, that must have been
I think
something.
I was sitting at the same table as Nick.
Oh, wow.
And then, but I didn't really meet him then. I was sitting next to Elvira, so I was having a nice chat with her.
Whoa.
And then Rob did something called Werewolf Women of the SS, a fake trailer for Grindhouse.
Yeah.
And I met Nick there, but just very briefly. He played, he had a kind of a cameo at the end as Fu Manchu and was laughing. But I didn't really, get a chance to talk to him. So I had met him a couple of times, but very briefly. Mm-hmm. And I got the job as the governor.
Yeah.
Kind of a Colonel Sanders character in Prisoners of the Ghostland. And I was wondering, how it was going to go with Nicholas. And when I got to Japan, it was right around American Thanksgiving.
Okay.
And my first real encounter with him was he took some of the crew and the cast out for a four-course traditional Japanese dinner. And we were also entertained by an older woman, geisha, who was doing traditional dances, and really an amazing meal and show. And then on top of it, we went around, everyone, one by one, was asked to say what they were grateful for. And so we all did that, which was a great way to kind of introduce the cast and crew to one another. So that was very cool. And then when we actually shot the movie, he really just was an actor after my own heart, because needless to say, with the work I've done, I like to jump in there and go for it. And and so does Nick. I mean, clearly he's gone for it in pretty much every movie he's ever made. And that's what I like to do. So we got along great, and it was a wonderful experience. It was cold sometimes. It's out there at night. It gets a little chilly, and there was. I don't speak Japanese, so some of the times it was just kind of trying to interpret hand gestures and inflections. But we got it done. It was really a great experience. And one of these days, with the COVID delay, everything's kind of held up. But it's coming out one of these days. And when it does, go see Prisoners of the Ghostland.
An excellent pitch. Okay.
Yeah.
The governor, is this a villainous character?
Quite possibly.
Okay. Well, some intrigue, this mystery. Okay, cool.
Yes, there's mystery.
Now, I had read that the filmmaker, Sion Sono, he suffered a heart attack, which delayed filming. How serious was that? Were you guys worried for his longevity?
Well, I think that was probably more of a producer worry than an actor worry. I was just, he seemed to be perfectly fine to me.
Oh, okay.
And, was just always there, always up, always into it as well. So, but one of the things I did do was to just to prepare, was to go through some of his filmography. It's pretty lengthy.
Yeah.
And there's something called Tokyo Tribe, which is kind of a rap, kind of like what am I trying to think of? I'll think of the name of the movie where different gangs try to go through each other's territory.
Oh, the Warriors.
Pardon me.
The Warriors.
The Warriors. Yes, it's kind of a Warriors rap music movie.
Wow.
Which is really cool. I still have the soundtrack that I play in my car. And he did a movie called Tag, and the opening of that movie is, especially for horror fans, really, I don't think you can do much better than the opening of Tag. There's also a movie called Hair Extensions. There's one called Suicide Club, which is really awesome. I would definitely recommend that. Hair Extensions is awesome. Anti-Porno is awesome. Just about everything he does is really cool. And the fun thing about Prisoners of the Ghostland, it's his first English language movie.
Yeah.
And so it's got kind of a mashup between samurai and cowboys.
Oh.
So I'll throw that into the pot of excitement.
I'm sold.
Yeah.
I'm sold. I've seen it described as the wildest Nicolas Cage movie, which speaks volumes.
We'll see.
I saw Mandy and Color Out of Space recently and was very impressed with those. Now, Nick is known as an eccentric personality. Are any good stories of hanging out with him or just being on set?
Not really. I mean, nothing out of the ordinary.
Mm-hmm.
He just was he gave it his all when the director said action.
Yeah.
But there was nothing particularly weird. I had a great rapport with him. We had a bunch of chats around the little space heater that they had outdoors for us to warm our little hands up until we were called back onto the set. But we had some chats. I actually went to see Color Out of Space. Actually, Nick and his people, whatever that means, invited me and my wife Lucinda to come to a screening or a premiere, kind of a private screening, I guess, of Color Out of Space.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And he was very charming. Lucinda, my wife, Lucinda Jenny, had worked with him like 25 years ago on Peggy Sue Got Married.
Oh, how about that? A connection.
Yes, and so she mentioned that and had a picture of her with Nicholas and with Jim Carrey, who was also in that movie.
Oh.
And, that got a nice laugh out of Nicholas, so, or Nick, whatever. So,
yeah.
and I love Color Out of Space. I really, I got to say, I really love Mandy.
Oh my God!
And, and actually at the wrap party for not the wrap party, but the premiere party for Three from Hell. I met the director of Mandy, Panos Cosmatos. Because the new Three from Hell, the new third is an actor named Richard Brake.
Yes.
And Richard Brake was had a great cameo
in Mandy,
as chemist.
Yeah,
in Mandy.
Yeah.
So he introduced me at the after party of Three from Hell to Panos. And
cool.
I thought Mandy was so original and so cool and weird. And I thought, of course, Nick just does an amazing job. We're not really sure at the end there whether this all happened on Earth or some other alternate universe. I mean, everything about that was so completely strange that I loved it.
But that's why it stays with you. Yeah, I was really taken with the use of lighting in that movie. Just the colors and the lighting just really popped for me.
A lot of pink.
Yeah. But hey, it worked. It worked.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Now, I just assembled a few questions for you, if you don't mind, if we have a few more minutes.
Go for it.
Okay, cool. You've done some reprehensible things in films over the years. That comes with the horror genre, of course. Were you ever asked to do something that was just, like, too much? Like, you just, it was just like, maybe that's a little much, or you're just like, you're the director, man, just point me and I'll do it?
Every once in a while, like I was doing some capering on the wing of a plane in Exorcism at 60,000 feet.
Okay.
Which just came out, last year.
Mm-hmm.
And I was supposed to be capering on the wing, kind of like the gremlin in
the Twilight Zone. Uh-huh.
And, because somebody, they're in a plane, and, of course, 60,000 feet, they're in a jet, and they open up the window, the shade, and there's, my character has his face pressed against the window, kind of like the gremlin.
Uh-huh.
The director, and I was doing things like I was jumping up and down, dancing on the wing, doing all kinds of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
And the director, in the moment, said, let's have your pants around your ankles, and let's put a toilet on the wing.
What?
And I just said, that's stupid.
Yeah.
The director, I'm not doing that. And I just said, if that made any sense, if it was just, the director kind of coming up with a funny idea, which wasn't that funny. And I'd already been paid.
Yeah.
Part of it. So I did decline that.
Interesting. Okay. I noticed you said that it said you were discovered in a short film called Texas Chainsaw Manicure. Does a copy of that still exist, or has that been destroyed or lost to time?
No, it exists. It's somewhere. I've got it in my desk. It was mine. I wrote it and produced it, and it gave myself a cameo as the hitchhiker. That was a 5-minute short.
Oh, okay.
And I showed it to a friend of mine who at the time was a screenwriter, part of a very successful partnership screenwriting duo that had just done Who Framed Roger Rabbit and Doc Hollywood.
Oh.
An old high school buddy of mine. And
Nice.
I was having dinner with him in Los Angeles, and I showed him The Manicure, which I brought out on VHS. And he said, I love this. Let me, my writing partner and I have an office right across the hall from Tobe Hooper, who at the time was prepping Poltergeist.
Yes.
That my friend said, give me a copy of this and I'll show it to Tobe.
Wow.
And so that's what he did. I said, sure. And so he walked it across. Tobe watched it. Tobe loved it.
Wow.
And Tobe especially loved my cameo as the hitchhiker.
Yeah.
And my friend also gave me Toby's phone number, which I called after a week or so when I got back to my home in New York. And I called up Toby, and Toby said, hello. I said, yes, hi, Toby, this is Moseley. He goes, who? And I said, I'm the guy that did the manicure, the chainsaw manicure. He goes, hey, I love your Bill. I love the manicure. He said, who played the hitchhiker? I said, well, me. He said, well, if I ever do a sequel, I'll keep you in mind.
Wow.
I went, well, that was 1984, and 2 years went by without a peep, and so I kind of, had moved on, because I was working as a freelance writer, so that's what I wrote for magazines in New York, and and one night in early 1986, maybe February or something, I got a call from Kit Carson, who was the screenwriter of Texas Chainsaw 2.
Wow.
And he said, hey, it's Kit Carson. I knew who that was he was married to Karen Black, so he was in the society pages or whatever. And so I knew who that was, and he asked if he could have my address to send me a copy of the Chainsaw 2 script. And I went, sure.
Yeah.
So he told me to look at the character of Chop Top.
Yeah.
I got it in the mail. This was long before computers and internet. And I read it. I loved Chop Top. I called Kit back. I said, this is hilarious. It's great. And I love Chop Top. He said, oh, good. I'm so glad to hear it. Well, we'll be in touch.
Wow.
And then all I got was, a day or two later from the Canon Films legal department.
Okay.
And they said, hi, they identified themselves. Do you have an agent, or do you want to negotiate your own contract? And I'm a freelance writer. I'm not an actor.
Yeah.
I don't have but I had met one at a Christmas party about a month earlier. So I called her up. She was at William Morris. And I called her up and I said, would you negotiate a contract for me? And she said, yeah, sure. It's free money for her.
Sure.
And so she called back and said, well, they want you to play this part of Chop Top in Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2. I went, God, that's amazing. And she said, yes, but, that was the good news. And she said, there is some bad news. And I said, well, what's the bad news? She said, well, they're only going to pay you SAG minimum. And as a freelance writer, I was probably averaging maybe $250, at most $300 a week for my writing gigs.
Okay.
And, well, what's SAG minimum? It doesn't sound good. And, I think it's like, I don't know, $1,700 a week. So I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
So bad.
Yeah, it just gets better.
That the other bad news is because the part has prosthetics, they need you to shave your head. And I, okay.
Yeah, sure.
And I told them that you're a working actor and that if you shaved your head, you would be on the shelf for 6 months. So they've agreed to give you $5,000 to shave your head.
Whoa.
I was like, oh my God.
Yeah.
Bad news, please.
Yeah.
And so I got the part. I didn't meet Toby until I was in costume and makeup. In Tom Savini's makeup shop in Austin, Texas. That was when I met Toby for the first time. It was like a dream come true. It was really, kind of like, what is it, Cinderella who goes to the ball?
Yeah, just that has to be the best story I've ever heard about someone making a short film spoof and then actually getting in contact with the director of the source material and actually working with him. Incredible.
Yeah, and it worked out well because...
Sure it did, yeah.
So much fun playing Chop Top, and I think it probably comes across, and I've seen
it does. It looks like everybody in that movie except Dennis Hopper is having the time of their life.
Well, and he was good. He was pretty steady. I think he was just coming out of, he'd had some personal problems, and was just coming out. He made his big comeback with a 3-pack of films.
Yeah.
One was two. One was Hoosiers.
Yes.
And the third was Blue Velvet.
Yeah, the same year as Texas Chainsaw 2.
And I thought he did great. I mean, I certainly enjoyed working with him. But that really opened the door to a new career. Because after Chainsaw, I had worked with Tom Savini because he did all the makeups in Chainsaw 2. And then he, a year later got a gig. George Romero gave him the keys to the color remake of Night of the Living Dead.
Yeah, 30th anniversary this week, yeah.
Yeah, Tom hired me to play Johnny.
Yeah.
So, kind of, you create your own momentum. Yeah. And in Hollywood, there is a little bit of typecasting or pigeonholing. So, sure. But for me, because I love the horror genre, I was happy to be typecast and or pigeonholed.
Sure.
And one thing led to another. I was having a particularly slow period of work. Let's see, it was probably Halloween right around this time in 1999.
Okay.
And I have a friend of mine who did publicity for Universal City Walk here in Burbank, California, next to L.A., called me up and said, "You're a monster guy, right?" And I went, "Yeah." And he said, "Well, would you like to MC this little horror award show that we do every year? It's kind of an in-house Universal thing. It's called the Igor Awards."
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Yeah, sure." I said, "Would you like me to dress up as Chop Top?" Because I had just done a short film for Tobe Hooper's son Tony called All American Massacre, and through that had met a makeup guy who could do the Chop Top makeup. And so my buddy said, "Well, let me find out." So he called because it's not a universal part. So he called his superiors, and they determined that because I was in Army of Darkness.
Oh, yeah.
People Dead 3, that I was part of the Universal family, therefore it would be okay for me to come as Chop Top.
Cool.
So I had a friend, and he made me up as Chop Top, and I emceed the show in character as Chop Top in a ratty tuxedo. And one of the award recipients in that little it's a little outdoor thing, a bunch of folding chairs, kind of small. And I mean, for me, it wasn't cheesy, but I think you could probably call it cheesy. One of the award recipients was Rob Zombie.
Whoa.
He had been nominated for Grammys and all kinds of things, but he'd never apparently won an award. Mm-hmm. And so I brought my 13-year-old daughter and her little buddy along because they were Rob Zombie fans.
Sure.
With Hellbilly Bugs. And I had seen him. I had seen White Zombie certainly on Beavis and Butthead.
Yes.
So I go, and the winner is Rob Zombie. And Rob is freaked out because Rob, it turns out, is a big Chop Top fan. So Chop Top, it freaked him out. He told me late stage that, before he had come out, he thought that, that guy out there is doing a decent Chop Top, not but a decent. And then when he came out, he went, basically, holy shit.
Yeah, it's you. Yeah, it's the real thing.
And a month later, his manager sent me a copy of House of a Thousand Corpses and told me to look at the part of Otis Driftwood.
Yeah.
And, so for two of my biggest parts, I did an audition. Short film for one and, a career, but also, live and in person doing emceeing the Igor Awards, and I got the part of Otis Driftwood.
Wow. Yeah, very, very fortunate in those instances for sure. An amazing, happenstance. Incredible. Well, we're in the Halloween season. Are there... I'm sorry, go. I'm sorry, I don't want to talk over you. Go ahead, sir.
I said it just tells you that sometimes fate does play a part.
Yeah, wow. It's just, incredible. Do you have any movies that you watch every year around this time?
Not really any in particular. I mean, I do love Evil Dead 2.
Yes.
And love watching that. I love watching Carnival of Souls.
Yes.
With Candice Hilligoss, that wonderful, weird black and white movie.
Of course, yes. Yes, it's a classic. Yeah.
This time is Island of Lost Souls.
Oh, excellent. Yeah, another classic.
Yeah.
Okay. Do you have a bucket list of directors that you have yet to work with that you would just, you admire their work that you'd love to get in with at some point if you had the chance?
Well, I mentioned Panos.
Oh, yeah, Mandy, yes.
Who did Midsummer. I just thought Midsummer was fantastic.
Oh, yeah, I saw that too, yeah. That was, yeah.
Other than that, there are a couple, certainly there are plenty of directors I haven't worked with, but, no one that I'm necessarily dying to work with.
Yeah.
Always fun to work with Rob Zombie. Toby Hooper's no longer with us.
Sadly.
So, I'm happy. I love actually working with young directors too. I certainly am a big fan of low-budget independent horror because a lot of times that's really where you get very creative decisions in lieu of, big-budget dollars. Mm-hmm. So I do like that. I love a good story. I don't care who writes it. And, I love working with, new directors just because, I have a work ethic that I think, is always helpful and certainly saves them time and money.
Sure.
And at the same time, I'm pretty easy to direct. So I guess that's a long answer to your question.
No, don't worry about it. You made a film out here. I'm in Philadelphia myself on the East Coast by the title of American Exorcist. I'm acquainted with Tony Trove, who was one of the directors of that film. I know Philly isn't for everybody, but would you be averse to coming back to Philly if there was a good enough part for you?
I actually love Philly.
Oh, cool.
I had a time doing that.
Oh, cool.
I am coming back to Philly on Halloween. I'm flying to Philly.
Oh, how about that? For what's the occasion?
I'm November 1st. I'm showing up in Lehighton, outside of Philly at a drive-in.
Oh.
I'm doing that cool drive-in there's a double bill including Texas Chainsaw 2.
Whoa.
So, I love Philly. I love cheesesteak sandwiches. I loved seeing Liberty Bell. I had a great. I just thought it was wonderful. I loved, just about everything about it. I'm trying to think of anything I don't like about Philadelphia, and I can't really think of it.
Well, that's good news, man.
Blackhawk, and I like the Broad Street Bullies.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Well, not to, toot my own horn, but I have made a film or two, and if I could ever, entice you to come out sometime, we'd love to have you back here in Philly.
That'd be great. No, I just love Philadelphia. I'm a train guy too, and I love the station there.
Oh yeah. 30th Street. Yeah.
Yeah. So and I would commute back and forth up to New York City. I just love it.
Okay.
I remember when I was many years ago living on the East Coast and to a 76ers game. That was when Dr. J was still on the team.
Okay.
And kind of a playoff game. I don't know if it was against the Cavaliers or somebody, but it was in Philadelphia. And I remember, we went out and had some beers afterwards, and I got to the station too late to get the last train back to New York. So I had to basically hang out until like 6 hours or 5 hours in the station.
Yeah.
And I remember I was sitting there kind of going, what am I going to do for 5 hours in this train station? And there was an all-night bowling alley.
Uh-huh.
And I looked at it, I thought, oh, that can't be open. That's got to be like some old place or something. Mm-hmm. And I went, and it was open. And I went in and I bowled for a couple of hours, had a great time, only went in there. And that was in the old, is that the South Street station or North Street station? Is there?
Yeah, there's
Are there stations in Philadelphia?
Yeah. We have a huge transit line. Trains and buses. But yeah, there's like 100 train stations around here of varying sizes.
Plastic one with the columns and everything.
Oh yeah. That's 30th Street Station. Yeah.
30th Street Station. Right.
Yeah.
Well, the old bowling alley there. I mean, who knew?
Yeah. And
it's long gone, and it my own personal Twilight Zone. But okay, so enough gushing about Philadelphia.
Hey, no, it's cool I asked.
All right.
Well, listen, Mr. Moseley, that's about all the time I have, so I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your day to speak with us about your new film that's coming hopefully soon for us to see. That sounds very exciting.
It should be great.
Yeah, I mean, everything about it sounds pretty amazing. So, I hope you have a happy Halloween yourself. I hope, this COVID thing clears up a little and you can start hitting the road again and seeing people and getting out there and getting some more work done.
It sounds good to me. I did do actually my first comic book.
Oh, well, let me hear about that.
You can download it. It's not a hard copy, but you can download it at www.cursedcornfieldcomics.com.
Okay.
And I teamed up with a great artist named Simon Kudrensky, who does Spawn and Batman. So it's, great comic book artist. And so we put out our issue number 1 of the Cursed Cornfield Comics.
Oh.
So you could check that out. I mean, I've tried to stay busy during the pandemic.
Yeah.
Certainly no conventions or
sure.
But I'm resourceful, so I did a comic book, and also I'm trying to go from episode 1, season 1 of X-Files, and I think I'm up to about season 6, right in the middle, maybe like episode 12 or 13.
Yeah, it's a good thing to revisit. I did that a couple years ago myself. Those. I love the first 3 or 4 seasons even. It was pretty good actually all the way through, actually. It was, but some of those like Monster of the Week episodes I really enjoyed.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I'm a little bit of momentum, halfway through season 6, but before X-Files I also watched all of the Kolchak Night Stalker.
Ooh. Nice.
episodes, which was really a lot of fun. So
Nice.
I've been enjoying the lockdown, I guess, as much as anyone can.
It sounds like. Well, I actually am a big comic fan myself, and I did not see that you had such a project, so I will definitely check that out. I love comics, horror comics, whatever. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah,
All right, God.
Yeah, all
Great
right.
to talk.
Yeah. Well, listen, again, I big fan. Great talking to you. Best of success and health, especially health. And yeah,
Okay.
thanks so much, man.
See you later. Okay. Bye.